but they played well. We didn't play as well, but we didn't play as poorly as I thought we did up at Michigan State the week before. Obviously, their offensive rebounding really took a toll on us as I looked at it. You know, when you choose to front the post like we did, and because Thompson is so good with the ball, a lot of their rebounds just like dropped right at the rim. They weren't long rebounds, right there, and he was in the best position to get some of those. And they took advantage of a couple of areas we're having trouble with individually, and we're trying to work at that every day. But it's more of an individual defensive spot problem that's hard to just correct and say, okay, let's guard it this way, let's guard it that way. So we're working on all those things. I thought we had a very productive day yesterday, even though the guys with major minutes did very little but watch a lot of film and step through some things. So this is always a great game, and so we're looking forward to playing it tomorrow. Really, this team is, they're winning at Nebraska. Michigan State's winning at Nebraska, very impressive. If you were just watching Nebraska at home, they've been very good. They've been good everywhere, but very good, and that was an impressive win to just win going away at Nebraska.
You want to start us off?
When you rewatched the game in East Lansing that you guys played against, I know you said the defense, Michigan State's defense was great, but did you see anything else that really stood out to you?
Michigan State's defense is always good. It's always good. It's the one constant you're always going to have. Yeah, I think that they were they again, and it's not the first time I've said this in my 10 years, that they were very physical with us, and you have to be able to play through some of that stuff. You can't count on officials to make those calls, and we did that a few times, or we sometimes just shied away from it. So it was great for our guys. We haven't, like I said, you go through a year, you don't know what you're going to see every single game. They just lost 3 in a row. They really wanted that game. It was a great game for all but maybe the last 4 minutes, where they just got away from us a little bit. But it was I think we learned a lot about what we talk about with being strong both on defense and offense with your body.
Chris.
Coach Mo said after the game that the rest of them did not match Derek's intensity or want to. Did you sense that?
Derek, I think it would be tough for anybody to do that, with how intense Derek was. You talked about Ohio State or Michigan
Yeah,
State?
Ohio State game.
Yeah, Derek was exceptional. He was just really exceptional. And he's taken, you guys don't know this, but probably in practice, I'm probably as hard on Derek as any player I've been. And I applaud him for he has been able to take that type of coaching and still flourish, as he goes along the line. Some guys would point at the coach or point at teammates and say, why are you always picking on me? Well, you're the quarterback, son, and that's the role, and you're a good one. And we need you got to be at your best every day, offensively and defensively. So he's taking that on right now, and I love the way he's embracing that role.
And then what about Zach? Obviously, you need more from him.
Yeah.
How do you get that out of him?
All I know is that he's worked really hard, and hopefully it doesn't show tomorrow, but he's texted me every night just with unsolicited, showing me his numbers on the gun after practice, and they're tremendous. So he's got to get through this, get some confidence back, and if you go make 500 shots on the gun, you can get your confidence back. But you also going to have somebody guarding you now. So that young man has done so much over his 4 years right now. We've ridden that horse a long time. We're not getting off that horse. He's going to still have great opportunities.
Brandon?
Is there a way that you personally can kind of get that intensity that Derek shows and he brings out into the court and just kind of spread it around to the other 5 or kind of like the starting 7? Is that something
Make
you
a lot of
do as a
money if I
coach?
could put that drink out there right now. I know we got some guys that are really laid back, and then you're trying to get that to them, and Derek has been that way as well. But it's almost, I was texting him in the sewer, Edelman's catch last night, I was all over that about he was going to make that catch. He just had that type of conviction. He was making that catch. And I don't know how the hell he did it, but he was going to do it. And that was a game changer to me. And all the things that we've been talking about resonated in that game to me about, I was texting them Belichick's quotes, Brady's quotes about, you don't know which play is going to win the Super Bowl, right? You don't. We picked each other up when things were down, was Brady's quote. Those are the type of things that we're still learning. They don't not believe it. They just don't understand it yet. And so that fire that everybody needs, that the great teams have, that we've had at times this year, and then we will slip away in other times, and it's cost us.
Mark?
You talked about Zach, the idea that, I mean, you brought him in that first year, all he did was shoot threes.
Yeah.
And now it seems like that's not even
Right.
part of his, is it a mentality, is that a design, that
Yeah,
other guys are shooting them?
No, I mean, you look at him, he shot as many threes as anybody on the team at this point. He just hasn't made them as much. And if you watch him in rep drills and things like that, he's very consistent. For some reason, he hasn't had that consistency on the court. So, no, we want him to shoot him when he's open, and he better keep shooting him when he's open. But he also, right now, is not looking for his shot on drives, on things like that. His assist numbers are down a little bit because he's looking to be, this would be a little bit of a contradiction. His assist numbers are down because he's looking to assist too much. And as a result, everybody plays him to pass, and then instead of to shoot, you gotta have that equal, I'm going to score, oh, now I'm double teamed, I'm gonna pass. He's going to pass too much. And he's gotta go into this thing, especially in the ball screen, much more aggressive. That's where the way he was last year.
Larry?
Miles Bridges, what are you seeing, what do you see from him in person through, in college for the first time, and then what are you seeing on tape that makes him so effective?
No, I think his ability to use both hands. I mean, usually a lefty, you're gonna say, okay, don't make him, like, Jay-Sean Tate the other night, we would just let him go left, let him go left, let him go left. Right, not the scouting report, but we continue to come out with feet that let him go left. Miles Bridges can go both ways. He finishes with both hands. And the fact that he's now a elite three-point shooter, it's a really tough guard. It's really a tough guard. So we're gonna have to give a lot of help with him. But now you got Harris, and you got McQuaid and Ellis. They're all like they're shooters. So they're falling into their little thing that they missed. Their chemistry. And it's all around Miles, but they got all those pieces in there developing right now because he does have shooters around him, so you can't help too much off of him. But outstanding player, and really good.
Brandon?
Actually, to follow up on Bridges, you had a few different matchups on him, including DJ late on
Yeah.
those 2 drives that didn't work out.
Yep.
Did you see a matchup over the course of that game, though, that you did like
With Miles,
against Bridges?
you're gonna have tough time having a matchup, now and for many years, whoever's gonna guard him because of his versatility. But I didn't like how we stood around and watched him go one-on-one from the perimeter. You gotta be able to help off of him and not give up a three. And that's one of the secrets of the game, of being able to help your teammate and guard your own man. And we didn't necessarily do a great job when he isolated late in that game, and those were big points, 5-point game, 2 minutes to go, and he just gets 2 little running hook type of shots that were deadly.
And on Derek, what do you think is clicked?
That's tough to put my finger on. All I know is that young man has worked so hard. He was one that was here all summer. You could hear the ball bouncing in the gym every day. He was also one that every day we have to tell Xavier to get in there for him just because he tires himself out in practice. That I think he's practiced so much now. There's some players that, and I've said this before, they practice till they get it right. Derek's practiced so much so he can't get it wrong. That he doesn't practice till he makes, he practices till he can't miss. And that is becoming an elite shooter. He's seeing the floor better, but he's also understanding, I can be a bowling ball sometimes going downhill, but if I shy away, I can't be that guy. So he's looking to score and then pass right now, as opposed to what I talked about Zach, who's looking too much to pass.
And can you use him as kind of, everyone you need to be, match with?
Oh, yeah.
Where he's at?
No, that was a big point of our film session yesterday. We watched this film all day. But we have to have the same intensity for more people right now. You've had enough lessons now in this, where we were lacking, and I keep going back to the Virginia Tech game, the last 4 minutes, there was like no defensive intensity or offensive intensity. It was like, miss these shots so we can win. We didn't will that. And so that happened a little bit in our game the other day, where we just got to make stops. We got to find a way to make a stop. And Derek is doing better there, but offensively now he's really dialed in.
Michigan State, they've won 5 straight in this series. Why have they been such a problem for this team?
Well, think this, I would say of the four in a row, we had an NBA draft choice, first rounders in a boot, right? I'd like to see when both these teams can play with everybody healthy. They got some guys unhealthy right now too. We have lost 6 guys to the pros. They've lost 2 guys to the pros early in the last 4 years. So it's a little bit about a personnel thing. You got a great coach, you got a great program. But I think if Karis LeVert is healthy both times, it might be a little bit different.
It seems like these two teams have kind of switched.
Just like
roles.
when we beat them and Adrian Payne was not healthy, right? Or there was another time somebody else wasn't healthy, we beat them when they weren't healthy. And it comes down a lot to that. Although they got a great program, so I'm not taking anything away. But I think a lot of our February questions and things like that may have to do with when you miss it. And you just think about that. 3 years in a row, an NBA first rounder is lost for the season. McGarry, LeVert. Tell me one team that happens to. And that's where you get into these February or these 5 in a row.
It seems like these two teams have switched roles, like they had their backs against the wall, losing 3 straight, now you guys have lost 2 straight. What do you feel about your confidence in your team's ability to kind of bounce back in these 2 losses?
Well, I think, that's the resilience that every team has to have, and we have been able to bounce back enough. But we really got to bounce back now with 8 games left, 5 on the road. There's nothing out there that we're not going to survive if we don't have this incredible resolve going forward.
So, in your last 3 losses, fouls have been more of an issue than they are in previous games,
Yeah.
what you normally do. What can you do about it? In this quick turnaround, is it teaching technique? Is it strategizing differently, working around it, or kind of?
Well, some of those things were wrong place, wrong time. We're just still understanding how the ref's going to call fouls. I mean, that's a huge thing. So our big guys have been in a little bit of trouble, but then again, we had a situation with Michigan State where we fouled, and then we did the exact same thing again. They called it both times, and it was the same thing. It was like, you just did it. They just called it. It's like a guy getting 3 seconds twice in a row down the court. We fouled the same way twice in a row. These are things that I'm trying. But when we go into these places that I don't know where we are, but we make mistakes that we shouldn't be. Some of our experienced players shouldn't be making.
With a few players that you could potentially post up with, is that something you try to do more because they really only have 2 quote-unquote post guys?
Well, we tried to in the last game, and we got Mo open like 3-4 times, and we didn't throw it to him. So that's one thing, trying to post him, and that mentality of to throw it inside. But we had some success throwing it to Mo last time that we were there. We'll look to post them where we can. We can't be the ones always in foul trouble, but we got to attack so we can get residual effect from that as well.
You'd said earlier in the year that Austin Davis was one of your toughest guys, one of your better rebounders. Is that
Yeah.
still the case, first of all?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
He's really rebounding. He's got these big mitts that he really rebounds the ball. So he will really help us in that area.
And-
He helps us in a lot of areas. He's a really good passer. His body is so different than anybody that would even seen him 6 months ago. And he's really going to help us. Really excited about him. And Charles are like really good players.
And then what was it that kept him off the floor? Was it just the offensive aspect?
No, it was in the first month. It
Mhm.
was the first month when we were just watching him. He was really struggling he played all zone in high school. He was just really struggling. That was sort of the deal coming in that we thought with the July birthday, that was the best way to do this. And when hindsight's 20/20 right now, but it was when we really got to the point where we really started to just being very good in practices. It was the middle of January, end of January. And we said, okay, with 12 games left, is this worth it for him? And we decided not to go that way.
Thanks.
Andrew?
Coach, you mentioned after last game that Mo's been shooting some moon balls.
Yep.
I guess, in season, or can you make adjustments
Yeah, we
to
did
technique?
yesterday. We did yesterday. We have a machine over there called Noah's Ark. It measures arch. And I thought when I saw him shoot a couple the other day, I just looked at it and said, there's no chance of going in. And sometimes when a guy's running out, people just shoot, so people are just running at him. They're just running at him as fast as they can. So he's got to get off quicker. But the optimum arch is between 45 and 48. When we started shooting yesterday, he was at 53. So by the time we were shooting, he was draining threes all over the place at 45, 47, 48. Now, we do that all year long, that we work with a young man who, if they're struggling. If they're shooting the ball well, we don't mess with it. But he's got to get the seams, he's got to get good, he didn't have good rotation, trying to shoot too quick. If you got to shoot that quick, you probably shouldn't shoot.
Anything else? All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks.